Hello children, today we are going to do separation of mixtures. Now at first in separation of mixtures we should all know what is the need for the separation of mixtures. Now there are several reasons for which we need to separate mixtures. First one is to remove harmful or undesirable substances. There are certain harmful or undesirable substances in our food which has to be removed. Just the cereals, pulses, spices, they often have little stones, husk, all these materials in them which should be removed before we have it or cook it. So that is one very important reason for which we need to separate mixtures. Now go to the next page, that is page number 28. That is we are coming to the second point, to obtain a useful substance. Now sometimes we need to get the useful substance by separation of mixtures. For example, from the crude petroleum we get petrol, kerosene and all other things, and also wax also. Okay, so what we have several useful things which we get from petroleum. So it is to obtain a useful substance. Next, to obtain pure sample of a substance. Now sometimes we need a very pure sample, very distilled pure sample, okay, for say in case of medicines, in the laboratories there we need very pure substance, and there also all the impurities have to be separated out. Now we are coming to the principle of separation. The principle of separation, it depends upon the type of the mixture and the properties of the components of the mixture. So on this principle, what type of mixture it is and what is the property of each component is, so using that knowledge actually we can separate the mixtures into their constituent substances. Now mixtures can also be separated on basis of some property that one component has and other does not. Okay, so in both the cases we see that it's the property of the component which decides how the mixture is to be separated. Now sieve, all of you know what is sieve. Sieve is actually used to shift flour. So bigger particles are separated from smaller particles. So it separates things according to the size. So sieving helps to separate components of the mixture that differ in size. While sieving, what happens? Due to the small holes, the fine particles go down, whereas the coarser particles they remain on the sieve. So you may have seen sieving done by your mother or anyone else in the kitchen, and also during making of a building etc. sieving is done to separate out the pebbles from the sand. Okay, now next comes sedimentation and decantation. Now what is sedimentation and decantation? We have already learned in the lower classes. In the lower classes we have already done sedimentation and decantation. Now what happens, suppose there is sand and water. Sand does not dissolve in water. So when it is mixed, what will happen, after some time, because the sand is heavy, it will settle down. This is known as sedimentation. Now if we pour the clear water after settling down of the sand, if we pour the clear water into the another container, it is called decantation. So this is sedimentation and decantation, and the clear liquid on the top is called the supernatant liquid. So we understood what is sedimentation. What is sediment? Sediment is the sand that has settled down, and the clear liquid is called supernatant liquid, and pouring down into the another vessel is called decantation. So this, whatever I told you, whatever I explained just now, it is very clearly given in activity 2.5. In activity 2.5 here you can see to separate a mixture of sand and water by sedimentation and decantation. At first the mixture is kept, then it is allowed to settle down, and after some time when it has settled down, the clear water, it is decanted into the another beaker, and a glass rod is used so that it comes down very smoothly. Okay, so this is decantation, sedimentation, decantation. Limitations of sedimentation and decantation. Of course, there are some limitations of sedimentation and decantation. The components of the insoluble solid and liquid cannot be completely separated. While pouring down here, very fine sand particles, they can come here. So it is not completely separated. Here also some of the water will remain here. So it is not completely separated. Another thing, if sand is heavier than water, but suppose we have something that is lighter than water, in that case we cannot do this process of sedimentation and decantation. So these two are also very important. Next we will go to the filtration. Filtration is a process of separating undissolved particles from the water or any other liquid, okay, by using a filter paper. By using a filter paper or by using something that's very resembling a filter paper, okay, but in this case more finer particles, they can be separated. So this method is used to separate an insoluble solid and a liquid. In this process, the mixture to be separated is passed through a filter paper. So a filter paper has very tiny pores in it, and it allows only the liquid to pass through, whereas the insoluble solid particles, it remains on the filter paper. So what happens, the liquid that passes through is called the filtrate, whereas the solid particles that remains upon the filter paper is called the residue. So a strainer, cotton, this all can be also used instead of a filter paper while doing filtration. Now we are coming to the next activity which demonstrates this process of filtration. In this process, you see it is activity 2.6. Okay, in activity 2.6 we see here there is a stand, here there is a funnel with the filter paper folded and kept it here in a way that it makes a cone, and below here we have a beaker, and here the beaker contains the mixture of chalk powder and water. Now what happens, when this chalk powder and water is poured here slowly and carefully on the filter paper, the water, it passes through the filter paper to the beaker, whereas the residue is the chalk particles. So chalk remains upon the filter paper, known as the residue, whereas the water is the filtrate, we get it in the beaker. Next we are doing evaporation. Now these two processes, that is sedimentation and decantation and the filtration, they were used to used to separate the undissolved solid particles from water. Now we are coming to the dissolved solid particles such as salt. So salt, it is dissolved in large quantities in seawater. Now this, if we want to get back the salt for our own use, what we do evaporation. In this process, what happens, the water is evaporated and the sand is left behind. This method is employed to separate a soluble, remember this one, it is a soluble solid component from a liquid. Here is water. In this method, the mixture is heated. As a result, the liquid component evaporates, leaving the solid component behind. Now, while we are extracting salt from seawater, actually seawater is collected in very shallow beds, okay, and it is allowed to evaporate under the heat of the sun. So what will happen when the water evaporates, the sand is left behind and it is all collected. You can see how it is collected. Next here, activity 2.7, to separate salt and water by evaporation. Here you see in a beaker, I'll put it down here. Okay, in a beaker, the salt water is heated, it evaporates, water evaporates, leaving the salt behind. The same thing that is we are doing in the laboratory. Now, magnetic separation. We all know iron is being attracted by magnets. So, if there is a mixture of iron and say sulfur, then what will happen? Sulfur will remain as it is. If we bring a magnet here, the iron particles will get attracted to the magnet and it will attach itself there. And by repeating the process, we can actually separate the iron from the sulfur. Some more methods are given which you should go through, that is hand picking, that is picking picking up the stones from the rice or any other cereals. Okay, now winnowing is an ancient agriculture practice. It is used to separate the lighter particles from the heavier. So during winnowing, if you see the picture here, they are letting the husk and the grains to fall straight, and with the air blowing, the lighter particles they go further, whereas the heavier particles fall down, and in that way it is separated. Now threshing is actually beating. What happens, this method is used to separate grains from stalks. Now stalks are at first dried in sun and then they are beaten to remove the seed grains. This is also another process of separating seed grains from the stalks. Now next is sublimation. Sublimation, you have already heard about it. Now this sublimation is a process in which a solid directly changes to gas without going through the liquid phase. Just you all have seen naphthalene, from solid it becomes gaseous, but you don't see liquid in that case. And also ammonium chloride is another substance that actually sublimates. So if we have a mixture, we just heat it and the thing that sublimates, that sublimes and can be separated. Now after that comes solvent extraction. Solvent extraction is used when one of the constituent is soluble in a liquid, for example water. So if we have a mixture of salt and sand, we can put some water in it and stir it. The salt will dissolve in water, can be separated, and sand will remain. Okay, now we will do it next day, the other part of the chapter. Thank you.